Chosen one, if you are watching this, it is no accident. God has led you to this exact moment because a divine message is breaking through. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of your life. He does not come lightly, nor with vague comfort. He comes with a solemn charge. A miracle is about to break forth, even as a shadow presses hard against your door. This is not some distant possibility, it is happening now. Do not set it aside for tomorrow. Do not call it imagination. Either your heart opens, or the darkness gains ground. Hear me clearly. What stands before you affects more than the next few hours. The choice you make now will shape the course of everything that follows. This is not a passing note, it is a divine summons, a turning point that will reverberate through your days. That is why the voice from above does not whisper. It sounds like a trumpet, a sharp command that pierces hesitation. The heavens are urgent, and their cry is simple. Do not skip, do not delay, do not treat this as ordinary. This is your appointed moment, and its weight is eternal. For too long, you have felt as though you walk alone, yet from the unseen realm, a guardian has been watching over you with unyielding focus. Archangel Michael has not left your side. He stands as a sentinel at the gates of your life, a warrior of light whose very presence is proof that your story is not abandoned. You may not see him with your eyes, but your spirit has already felt his nearness, the sudden calm in the midst of fear, the unexplainable escape from danger, the protection you could never fully explain. These were not accidents. They were the evidence of a guardian assigned to your destiny. Michael is not passive. He does not simply observe the struggles of your journey. He engages in the battles you cannot fight on your own. His sword of light has been drawn against forces that sought to silence you, against whispers of betrayal, against shadows that tried to creep into your house. He has cried out in urgency because he knows what is approaching, a tide of news meant to shake your faith. Yet he also sees the miracle pressing against the veil, waiting to break through if only you will open your heart in time. The Guardian's task is not merely to shield you, but to alert you. That is why his presence now is different from before. In past seasons, he fought silently, allowing you to move forward unaware. But today, he is not silent. He is commanding your attention because the balance of your destiny hangs in the air. What is coming is not ordinary. It is a collision of miracle and storm, a convergence of heaven's promise and the enemy's last attempt to derail you. Chosen one, if this word pierced your spirit, do not scroll past, respond. Comment 777, I receive Michael's charge below. By declaring 777, you align with heaven's trumpet call. You open your heart to the miracle pressing against the veil, and you silence the shadow that seeks your doorway. This is your divine summons. Type it now and step into the protection, clarity, and breakthrough God has assigned for you. Chosen one, you may feel unworthy of such attention, but understand this. Guardians are not sent to those with trivial paths. Michael stands here because your calling is weighty, your purpose is irreplaceable, and your life bears significance beyond what you imagine. He has seen what was plotted against you, and he refuses to stand aside. His cry is not one of fear, but of urgency. Do not ignore the signs, do not dismiss the moment. You are guarded, but you must also awaken. There are seasons in life when days pass quietly, blending one into another, and nothing seems to change. But there are also moments when heaven itself draws a line in the sand and says, now. This is one of those moments for you. The measure of time may seem ordinary on a clock, but in the realm of the spirit, even a few minutes can carry the weight of eternity. You are standing in such a window right now, a divine interval where everything converges, a brief space in which both promise and danger arrive at your threshold. Within this span, a miracle has been appointed to move toward you. It will not come with thunder or spectacle, but with the quiet force of heaven's design. It may appear through an unexpected person, an unforeseen opportunity, or a sudden shift you could not have arranged. To the natural eye, it may seem small, but to your spirit it will be unmistakable, a sign that God has not forgotten you. The miracle is already in motion, pressing closer with each heartbeat, waiting only for your readiness to receive it. Yet, at the very same moment, a shadow presses near. Bad news is not far off. It seeks to break into your atmosphere, to unsettle your peace, to make you believe that hope is fragile and faith is useless. It waits for hesitation, for the slightest delay, because hesitation opens the door it cannot force. That is why Michael's cry is urgent. The choice you make in these minutes matters. Do not think of this as abstract. The convergence is real. In the span of 5 minutes, both light and shadow move toward you. If you embrace the word being spoken into your life, the miracle will rise, and the shadow will wither before it can enter. But if you brush it aside, if you postpone until later, then the miracle will slip away like smoke, and the shadow will cross the threshold unopposed. This is why heaven measures time differently. 5 minutes here is not casual. It is charged with eternal significance. The Spirit is pressing upon you, urging you to awaken, because this moment is not just about surviving the day, it is about defining the path of your future. The clock of heaven is striking. You are not reading these words by chance. You are standing in the 5-minute moment of destiny, and your response will shape everything that follows. There is a pattern that has repeated itself in your life. Hesitation. You have sensed the stirring in your heart before. You have caught glimpses of signs, felt sudden nudges, dreamed dreams that unsettled you. And yet, too often, you pushed them aside. You told yourself it could wait. You convinced yourself that the moment was not meant for you. You chose silence when heaven was calling for a response. Each delay may have felt harmless, but in truth, it carried consequences heavier than you realized. Every time you turned away, a door was left ajar. The enemy slipped through those cracks, planting seeds of confusion, weaving delays into the fabric of your journey. Opportunities that should have been yours were diverted to others. Blessings that had been prepared for you were postponed. Relationships that could have carried life and strength dissolved into silence. Delay was not neutral, it became a thief, robbing you quietly, little by little, until you grew accustomed to loss. Michael has seen it all. He has wept as you stood at the edge of breakthrough, only to retreat. He has fought to shield you, yet even angels cannot override your choice. Heaven honors the will of man, even when that will chooses delay over obedience. That is why this hour carries such unbearable weight. You are not being warned casually. This is not simply another reminder. This is a final summons, because the cost of hesitation has reached its limit. If you ignore this message once more, the break will be different this time. It will not merely be a missed opportunity. It will be the collapse of something you thought secure. What you have loved and leaned upon could fracture. What you assumed would always stand could crumble. And the wound that follows will not be easily healed, because it will bear the sting of knowing it came by choice. By the choice to delay again. You must hear this with the full weight it deserves. The habit of postponement has already stolen too much from you, but heaven's mercy is that the door is not yet closed. You are being given one more chance to respond without delay. This is not a rehearsal, this is the decisive moment. If you rise now, the cycle breaks. If you delay, the cycle will consume what remains. The seriousness of this cannot be overstated. Delay is no longer an option. The shadow that moves toward you is not an ordinary problem. It is not the inconvenience of daily life, nor the natural ups and downs everyone experiences. What is approaching has been crafted in the unseen, designed to press against your soul with such weight that it threatens to break the very core of your faith. This is not simply bad news. It is a spiritual test, a storm tailored to your weakness, targeted at the very place where you have questioned God the most. It comes disguised in human form, a phone call, a report, a word spoken against you, a sudden turn of events. To others, it may appear like nothing unusual, but to you, it carries venom because it strikes at the center of your story. It is meant to make you whisper, "Maybe I am truly forsaken." It is engineered to silence your prayers, to replace your hope with bitterness, and to convince you that the promises spoken over your life were illusions. Understand this. The enemy has studied your path. He knows where your faith trembles. He knows the memories that still ache like open wounds. And so, the bad news is not random, it is precise, timed, and calculated. If received without discernment, it has the power to spiral into despair. But this is exactly why the message reaches you before the shadow arrives. Heaven refuses to let you walk into this storm unarmed. Michael sees what is circling your house. He knows the plan behind the whispers, the betrayals, the sudden resistance rising against you. That is why his urgency burns hotter now than ever before. He is not merely describing trouble, he is warning of a confrontation that could alter the shape of your destiny. If you choose to ignore, the storm will enter unchecked. But if you prepare your heart now, the same event that threatened to shatter you will become a testimony of resilience. Bad news, in truth, has no power of its own. Its strength lies only in your response. If you collapse under fear, you give it authority. If you anchor yourself in faith, its power dissolves into nothing. What looks like a crushing blow can, by heaven's design, be flipped into a breakthrough. The shadow may roar, but it cannot destroy what heaven protects. Its only weapon is the lie that you are alone. This is why hesitation is fatal here. If you wait, the storm gains momentum. If you dismiss the urgency, the enemy gains access. But if you stand firm, if you choose to believe even as the winds rise, then the very storm sent to drown you becomes the wind that carries you higher. The seriousness of this cannot be minimized. This is not about small troubles. It is about a test that carries eternal weight. The storm is real, but it is not greater than the one who guards you. And now you must decide, will you let bad news define your faith, or will your faith redefine the news? While shadows move with intent to unsettle you, heaven has already prepared something greater, something hidden, something the enemy cannot touch. This is the mystery of the miracle. It is never announced in advance with fanfare, because what is exposed too soon can be attacked. Instead, heaven conceals it like a treasure locked in a secret chamber, releasing it only when the exact moment arrives. That moment is now approaching your life. Do not expect the miracle to arrive in the form you have been imagining. You may have prayed for one thing in specific words, yet the miracle may come through an unexpected door, through a pathway you once believed was closed forever. It might flow through a person you overlooked, or emerge from circumstances you once labeled hopeless. Heaven delights in confounding the plans of darkness by releasing blessings from directions the enemy could never anticipate. That is why the miracle remains secret until it manifests, because its strength lies in surprise. The truth is that you already carry within you the imprint of this miracle. The deepest desires of your heart, the longings you could never quite put into words, are all threads woven into the miracle's design. What you thought was silence was actually preparation. What you mistook for abandonment was timing. Heaven was arranging pieces you could not see, aligning events beyond your awareness, ensuring that when the miracle finally comes, it will not simply meet a need, it will pierce through the very fabric of your destiny. But here lies the tension. The miracle and the storm arrive together. The shadow presses in at the very moment the blessing knocks. This is no accident. The enemy has sensed that something is about to break through, and so he fights harder now than ever. He seeks to distract you, to blind you, to make you so focused on fear that you miss the subtle whisper of hope. That is why Michael cries out with urgency, because the miracle's secrecy requires your attention. If you look away, you will not see it. If you dismiss this as a coincidence, you will let it slip through your fingers. You must therefore train your eyes not on the storm but on the signs. the miracle will reveal itself not with chaos but with peace. You may notice an unusual calm settle in your heart. You may witness sudden alignment in matters that once felt impossible. You may receive a word, a message, a moment of clarity that strikes you with undeniable force. These are not ordinary occurrences. They are the fingerprints of a miracle unfolding in secret. Understand, heaven does not send miracles to those without purpose. You are preserved for a reason. The miracle is not random provision. It is a signpost declaring that your role on this earth is not finished. It is meant to remind you that your story is still alive, that your calling is still intact, and that even after betrayal, even after tears, heaven writes a continuation. The secret will not remain hidden much longer. It is pressing against the veil, waiting for your faith to open the door. If you believe, it will erupt into your life like dawn breaking after the longest night. If you ignore it, it will remain sealed, and the shadow will take the place meant for light. This is why your focus matters now more than ever. The secret miracle is already moving toward you. Will you be awake when it arrives? What you see with your eyes each day tells only a fraction of the truth. Beyond the surface of ordinary events lies a battlefield more real than the ground beneath your feet. Every choice, every thought, every hesitation has become a point of conflict in this unseen war. You may believe you are only facing difficult people, unfair circumstances, or the instability of life, but behind all of these is a clash of forces, one bent on your destruction and the other determined to secure your destiny. For years, you have wondered why your path seemed harder than others. Why betrayal cuts so deeply? Why did losses come when you could least afford them? Why did resistance rise just as doors appeared to open? These were not random strokes of misfortune. They were calculated strikes from an enemy who fears what you carry. The weight of your calling has made you a target. The heaviness you feel is not proof of weakness, but evidence of significance. Archangel Michael has fought in this war long before you even realized it was happening. While you slept, battles raged over your house. While you prayed in silence, his sword struck down whispers that sought to turn allies into enemies. While you walked into rooms unaware, his presence shielded you from traps you did not see. And yet, as faithful as his guarding has been, the battlefield cannot be won by his strength alone. It requires your alignment, your response, and your decision to rise in faith rather than collapse in fear. The enemy thrives on your blindness. If he can convince you that all of this is just life, then you lower your guard and surrender without knowing. But the moment you recognize that you stand in the center of a spiritual battlefield, everything changes. Suddenly, hesitation is no longer harmless, it is fatal. Doubt is no longer just a thought, it is an open door. And faith is no longer a vague feeling, it is a weapon. This is why Michael calls with such urgency. He knows the stakes are higher than ever. The shadow pressing toward you is not simply bad luck. It is a weaponized attempt to end what heaven has preserved. And yet, he also knows the battlefield is not tilted against you. Every angel assigned to your life is already in position. Every prayer you ever whispered has been stored like arrows in a quiver, waiting for release. The only question is whether you will add your voice, your belief, your obedience to the fight. Do not underestimate what hangs in the balance. If you choose apathy, the enemy gains ground. If you choose trust, heaven moves with force. The outcome of this battlefield does not rest solely on what is against you. It rests on whether you will stand. So stand. Stand even when the storm grows louder. Stand even when the shadow tries to whisper fear. Stand because your standing is not just for yourself, but for every future promise tied to your name. This battlefield is invisible to human eyes, but its consequences are undeniable. And in this very moment, the battle cries are echoing, waiting for your answer. Every battle has a turning point. Every war reaches a moment where hesitation determines defeat, and obedience determines victory. You are standing at such a threshold now. Heaven does not demand perfection from you, it demands obedience. Not later, not tomorrow, but now. The cry that rises from above is clear. Act, respond, open your heart fully, because delay is more dangerous than the storm itself. Obedience, at its core, is not about ritual or empty discipline. It is about trust. Trust that the one who calls you sees what you cannot, knows what you do not, and has already arranged the path you fear to walk. To obey is to surrender control, to step forward even when the outcome is hidden. And this is precisely where your struggle lies. Too often, you have said, "I will wait until I understand," or "I will move when I feel stronger." But the battlefield of the Spirit is not won by sight or strength. It is won by trust. This is why the call now is so urgent. Michael does not plead because the miracle is fragile. He pleads because your response is the key that unlocks it. Heaven's resources are ready. Angels are positioned. The miracle itself is already moving toward you, but if your heart remains closed, if your trust remains withheld, then the blessing cannot break through. Obedience is not an optional act here. It is the difference between breakthrough and collapse. Consider what obedience requires of you in this moment: to silence the voice of fear, to refuse the whisper of doubt, to push back against the instinct to postpone. It requires you to lift your eyes beyond what is pressing in and declare that you will align with heaven, no matter how impossible the situation looks. Obedience is not passive, it is active agreement. It is the decision to say yes with your entire being, even while the storm roars outside your door. And know this: obedience always carries a cost. It may cost your comfort, your pride, or the illusions you have clung to. But what it gives in return is immeasurable peace that no shadow can touch, protection that no enemy can pierce, and the release of a miracle that cannot be stolen. This is why the voice of heaven is so insistent, so relentless, because the cost of disobedience is far greater. Disobedience invites the shadow in. Obedience slams the door in its face. The weight of this call cannot be overstated. You are not simply being asked to try harder or be better. You are being summoned to a higher alignment, a surrender that positions you under the covering of heaven's shield. Michael's cry is not for his sake, it is for yours. He knows the hour has arrived. He sees the shadow pressing closer. He also sees the miracle trembling at the edge of release, and he knows the hinge on which everything swings is your obedience. So hear it clearly. The time to act is now. Do not wait. Do not waver. Let your heart open in full agreement with heaven. For in your obedience lies your survival, your testimony, and your destiny. When heaven moves, it does not leave you blind. Though the miracle is hidden until its appointed time, the approach of a breakthrough always carries signs. These signs are not accidents. They are signals meant to awaken you, to remind you that what was promised is drawing near. If you have eyes to see, you will recognize them. If you harden your heart, you will dismiss them as a coincidence and miss the hour of visitation. One sign may come in the form of peace that seems unreasonable. While circumstances grow tense, you may feel a sudden calm, as if a blanket of stillness rests upon your spirit. Do not dismiss this. That calm is not natural, it is supernatural. Heaven's fingerprint pressing on your soul, telling you that you are being shielded. It is the assurance that even while the storm gathers, you will not be swallowed by it. Another sign may come through the alignment of events that appear impossible. Doors that were shut without explanation may creak open again. Conversations you never thought would happen may suddenly take place. Resources that seemed out of reach may appear unexpectedly. These are not random blessings. They are markers of the miracle unfolding in real time. Evidence that what was hidden is now pressing through the veil. Yet at the very same time, another kind of sign will appear. The shadow will knock. It may arrive as bad news, a word designed to unsettle you, a situation that carries weight and fear. Do not think this is a contradiction. It is confirmation. The miracle and the shadow always arrive together, because the enemy senses what heaven is releasing. His last attempt is to flood you with panic, so you fail to recognize the gift already at your door. This is why discernment is critical. Do not confuse noise with truth. Do not confuse panic with reality. The shadow may shout loudly, but its voice carries no authority unless you agree with it. The miracle, on the other hand, speaks quietly but with unshakable strength. You must learn to tune your heart to the whisper of God, rather than the roar of fear. If you pay attention, you will notice that these signs often come in pairs. Peace in your heart, while chaos rises outside. Open doors alongside threats of resistance. Unexpected clarity, even as confusion tries to distract you. Heaven allows both to appear so that your faith is tested, sharpened, and proven. What you choose to focus on will determine which one takes root. These signs are not meant to scare you, they are meant to prepare you. They reveal that heaven is near, that angels are active, and that the miracle is imminent. If you remain awake, if you keep your spirit alert, you will not miss them. You will see clearly that what is unfolding is not by chance, but by design. Do not dismiss the signs. Do not scroll past them. Each one is a reminder that heaven is moving on your behalf and that your story is about to turn. There are messages you can set aside, words you can revisit later, and lessons you can learn at your own pace. But this is not one of them. What you are facing now is a summons from eternity. The heavens are not speaking casually, they are sounding an alarm. And when heaven sounds an alarm, to ignore it is to invite disaster. This is the final warning before the storm makes contact. You have already been shown the pattern of your past, how hesitation has cost you dearly, how opportunities dissolved because you delayed, how blessings slipped away because you dismissed the urgency of the moment. Each time you told yourself you would act later, another layer of loss settled upon your life. Yet mercy has always remained, holding space for you to rise again. But mercy does not mean endless postponement. A line is drawn, and you now stand upon it. Michael does not cry with such intensity for no reason. His urgency comes from what he sees. He sees the shadow that has been circling, waiting for permission to strike. He sees the fragile places in your life, where fear has left cracks. And he knows that one more act of delay could give the enemy what he has been longing for: a doorway into your house, into your heart, into your destiny. That is why his call is relentless. Do not wait another moment. This warning carries both severity and promise. Severity, because if you close your heart again, something precious will collapse. What you thought secure may shatter. What you assumed unshakable may crumble. The storm does not ask for permission. It devours what is unguarded. And if you refuse to take cover under heaven's shield, the enemy will seize what was left vulnerable. But this warning also carries promise, because if you respond with faith, the shadow cannot cross your threshold. The storm may rage, but it will be stopped at your door. What was meant to break you will be turned into testimony. The very bad news that was scheduled for your destruction will be intercepted, stripped of its power, and transformed into proof that heaven defends its own. The choice is now in your hands. The clock has reached its critical mark. The delay that once seemed harmless is no longer harmless. It is deadly. The apathy that once seemed convenient is now a trap. To treat this message as optional is to surrender ground to the enemy. To take it seriously is to seal your protection and open the way for the miracle to manifest. The weight of eternity leans heavily on this moment. Every angel assigned to you is watching. Every prayer you ever prayed is hanging in the balance. And the voice of heaven thunders the same command: do not skip, do not delay, do not turn away. This is your final warning before the storm breaks. Understand this clearly. You are not being called into fear. You are being called into alignment. The warning exists to protect you, to preserve you, to position you so that the shadow cannot enter. But the shield only activates when you choose obedience. The last hesitation must die here. The final delay must end now. The heavens have spoken, the trumpet has sounded, and the decision is yours. In the midst of warnings, storms, and urgency, you must not forget the foundation of this entire message. You are not abandoned. The enemy has tried to convince you otherwise. He has whispered lies into your mind, pointing to betrayal, pointing to silence, pointing to moments of loss as proof that you are alone. But those whispers are false. The fact that this message reaches you now is itself proof that heaven has never let go of you. Every breath you take carries meaning. Every moment you have survived, even when survival seemed impossible, declares that you are preserved for a purpose. You are not here by accident. You are not standing on the edge of this battle as a nameless soul. You carry a destiny that cannot be duplicated. That destiny is why the attacks have been so fierce. Darkness fears the fulfillment of what you carry. If your life were insignificant, there would be no need for the storm. The weight of resistance you have endured is evidence of your significance. Michael has seen what you could not see. He has watched the invisible ledger in which heaven records your tears, your faith, your sacrifices. He knows the countless times you questioned why your path seemed harder, why betrayals cut so deep, and why others seemed to advance while you stood still. What you saw as punishment was preparation. What you saw as a delay was protection. Heaven has been shaping you, forging resilience, and anchoring your soul so that when the miracle arrives, you will not squander it. Understand this. Your identity is not defined by loss. It is not defined by the words of those who doubted you. It is not defined by the shadows that tried to silence you. Your identity is sealed by the hand of God, who has called you chosen, beloved, and preserved. That seal cannot be broken by betrayal, by rejection, or by the schemes of the enemy. The mark upon your life is eternal. Your destiny still stretches before you. There are promises not yet fulfilled, testimonies not yet spoken, and victories not yet won. The reason you are still here, the reason your story has not ended, is because heaven has work for you that only you can accomplish. Others may have doubted, but heaven has not. Others may have walked away, but heaven has remained. This is why you must rise now, not simply to survive this storm, but to step into the fullness of who you are. You are not merely enduring. You are advancing. You are not merely protected. You are being positioned. The weight of your destiny demands your attention, your faith, your obedience. And as you align yourself in this moment, the miracle that has been preserved for you will not only guard you, it will propel you forward into the calling you were always meant to fulfill. So stand with confidence. Stand with faith. Stand not as one forgotten, but as one appointed. Your identity is secure, and your destiny is alive. The weight of everything that has been spoken draws to this moment. Every warning, every sign, every reminder of the miracle and the storm has not come to leave you trembling in fear, but to bring you into alignment with the purpose heaven has set upon your life. What has been unfolding was never meant to end with anxiety. It was always leading here, to a place of surrender, of trust, and of divine sealing. The voice of heaven does not only warn, it also comforts, restores, and anchors. And now you are being invited into a prayer that will close the door to shadows and open the way for the miracle to enter. Lift your heart, for this is sacred ground. The one who has carried you through every season has not brought you this far to abandon you now. Every tear you thought was wasted has been gathered. Every silent cry has been recorded, and every narrow escape you experienced was evidence that you were never forgotten. To pray in this moment is not an empty ritual. It is the final act of alignment, the key that seals the protection of heaven around you. So let your heart speak. Father, I come before you without hiding, without delay. I release fear. I reject hesitation. I renounce every whisper of doubt that has told me I am forgotten. I thank you for every unseen hand of protection, for every battle fought on my behalf when I did not even know danger was near. I thank you for sending Michael to stand guard over my life. for refusing to let me fall into traps that would have ended my story too soon. And now, I place myself fully under your covering. I declare that no shadow will cross my threshold. Bad news may knock at my door, but it will not devour me. Fear may try to creep into my mind, but it will not control me. I embrace the miracle you have prepared. Though I cannot predict its form, I know it is real, and I receive it with faith. My identity is not broken, my destiny is not abandoned, and my story is not finished. What was meant for my harm will be turned for my good, and what was designed to silence me will become testimony. This prayer does not end in words alone, for alignment must be lived, not only spoken. That is why the days ahead matter. To anchor what has been declared, you must walk with intentional rhythm. For the next 7 days, let each day be a step into deeper obedience. Begin with silence, sitting still for a few minutes to recognize that heaven is near. Declare with your own voice that you will no longer delay but will trust. Remember the times you were preserved and give thanks for them. Release one fear that has chained you, surrendering it completely. Remain watchful, recording the signs that appear, for heaven always leaves fingerprints along the path. Pray the words again with slow intention, allowing them to sink into your spirit like fire-sealing wax. And finally, speak to someone of what you have seen, of how heaven has moved. To speak is to seal, and to seal is to strengthen. This is no superstition, no hollow practice. It is the way of training your heart to remain awake, to keep your spirit aligned so the miracle does not pass unnoticed. 7 days may seem small, but in the eyes of eternity, they are steps that carve a new path. By the end, you will not only sense protection, you will know beyond doubt that heaven has set its shield upon you. The message has been delivered, the prayer has been spoken, the path is before you. Now rise, walk it with faith, and watch as what was hidden begins to break open before your very eyes.